gods above us.
Dragons. I mean, and you guys lost. How did you feel about that when you were playing at Critical Role, and how did you feel to relieve that on the animation?
Was that the first time we ran?
I think so.
I think this is the first time we thought about running and did.
Yeah,
I think
maybe we're not gonna survive this one. Is it possible to just run? Should we just leave?
You can certainly.
Not only is it possible, it is heavily implied you should at this point.
Yeah, I think there were a few minutes where, you know, we were pretty knuckleheaded and lower level. We were like, oh, we can take it. We got a bunch of magic and start pointing things. And after a few minutes, I think Matt finally looked up and he was like, you know, the option to run is always on the table. We were like, yeah, yeah. I think we're gonna.
You're giving us a hint. Well, it's funny because when you're playing, sometimes you don't think of that as the option, because you're like, well, if we're presented with this situation, then we have to overcome it. But at the same time, there's many ways out of a situation, which I think that is encouraging and teaching us. And in this case, running was our best choice.
And as we learned, if you don't fight the dragon, if you don't run from the dragon, you can also try and seduce the dragon.
Options.
Possibly go wrong.
Romance the dragon.
Yeah. I think after living out in the campaign and then coming back to it for the animation, it was, for me, it was, I mean, I loved it. I loved the idea of watching my players panic and freak out and, you know, flail at the table. That was part of my joy in the moment. So now getting able to unleash that upon an entire audience, it's.
This time I have a first question for Ashley. I mean, how did you think Pike felt about receiving so many no's in Valsalheim when she went there with the group to ask for help? Because that was supposedly the only hope you guys have to face the dragon. So how did she feel? Because she's all about faith, she's all about the clergy, and everybody said no, let they come to our gate. So how did you think she felt about that?
Oh, devastated. I mean, it's one of those things of like, it's okay, we're gonna be taken care of, we're gonna be fine now, but it presents that moment to the whole group of, wow, is all hope lost in this moment? And it's another thing that we're sort of we have to find the hope again, and we have to figure out other ways to get out of this situation. But of course, I think because of Pike's faith, yeah, it's hard for her to sort of accept defeat in a way, or sort of lose that hope, because that's so much of who she is.
Let's go to Travis now. What's the matter with the Craven Edge? And it's consuming Grog so much, and he cannot, pay attention on that. So that's something that is consuming him. So how did Kurt beating and Gru's training is going to help him about that?
I don't think there's anything wrong with Craven Edge. I mean, it's just a beautiful black onyx greatsword blade that needs a friend, somebody to talk to, a little chit chat. Grog is someone where you kind of need to deliver the message or the lesson several times to make it through his various layers of thick skull. And I love that Earthbreaker Grun probably recognized that with a quick glance, and then just tried to make it through those layers with his fists and his feet and other, bony protrusions. He might see the edge of the cliff coming, but he's still going to run towards it full speed until he realizes that gravity is pulling him down towards possibly a timely demise. So, it's sometimes you just got to see things through to the end, and that's going to be a fun thing to watch with Grog this season, is figuring out how he reacts to a sword, a sentient sword that was wielded by, a vampire lord. What could go wrong?
Vox Machina. These weapons were created to strike down the gods. Find them to defeat the dragons.
I would like to have I had this doubt out. How was the process for the animation to decide which NPCs would you dub and which NPCs would you ask other people to dub, and how did you choose these people?
It's a good question, actually. For me, for all of us, they kind of asked me who do you want to do, They're like, Matt, which ones are you really passionate about, and which ones, do we want other people to do? And for me, there's a lot of characters that very clearly I'm like, I should not perform these, I'm not a very convincing female when it comes to voiceover. Believe it or not,
don't sell yourself short.
Come on.
There are limitations to my talents, Travis.
I haven't seen them yet.
And there are characters that I personally am really excited to see somebody bring to life, like Kevdak. I know the gravitas, the deep texture, the frightening presence I want him to have in the series, and I consider myself a practiced voice actor. I know that however job I can do that would be decent, there are a number of performers out there that could do such a better job. So there's a lot of it like me going, I think I can do this character well, and I feel inspired to give it a go. But most of it, I'm just excited to hand them to other really talented people and basically go, run with it. And we discuss ideas of who we want to cast, you know, and reach out to these people in hopes that they respond, and most of them do, and then knock it out of the park. And it's so freaking cool. It's one of my favorite parts of this process.
We need to get inside that dragon.
You're a mouthful of acid, no way.
The other way.
Oh, God.